Brian, who I mentioned, had those 2 touchdown receptions this past game. He's also a stud defensively, so I want to see kind of where he's looking to play at the next level. Coach Britt, how's it going?
It's good, guys. I appreciate you having me. Sorry it took me a minute to get on.
No problem. Yeah, we were live on there, so I think we can't have 2 people calling at once, so that was not your fault, Coach. I wanted to talk.
Okay.
Wanted to start with Zaquan Bryan, your senior. Minnesota was there at the game to check him out in person. He's just done so many different things for you this season. The kick returns, catching the ball, running the ball, and then his defense. So talk a little bit about just what a guy like that has meant to the program over the years, how he stepped up this year, and then kind of where he's projecting at the next level.
Yeah, well, first of all, and this is what I said to Coach Fleck, who was at the game the other night, just before we even talk football, he's a special young man, Zaquan is. He's just really nice young man. He's been around the program since he was like 3rd or 4th grade. He went to St. James, one of our feeder schools, was cousin of John Wesley Kennedy. He was one of our special players for a long time, and he just is a special young man. But then as a player, as nice as he is off the field, he steps between the lines, and he's very, very competitive and very athletic, can do a number of things in passing game, the run game, return game, and is just a beast on defense. He's been playing free safety for us just because that's where we needed him to play for us to be the best we could be. But he's a corner at the next level and is committed to Minnesota and has been. He has been steadfast on that since he went up and visited and just fell in love with the place, fell in love with Coach Fleck and what he does, and the defensive back coach, Coach Haynes. And so he is excited and ready to go be a Gopher.
Yeah, so he's not going to be afraid if it gets a little chilly this week. He's going up to Minnesota to play.
Yeah, he better get ready.
Yeah, but I was impressed, though, after the win, he was getting interviewed. He was talking just about how the team played well in all 3 phases, but then he was like, yeah, the game was a little too close, though. It's like, I thought you guys dominated, but I was just impressed with just how well-spoken, just what a team guy he was. And then he was talking about how it was emotional to be playing his last game at home. But, I mean, what have you seen just from the other guys on your team? It looks like you have had just a ton of juniors stepping up offensively, defensively.
Yeah, we do. We lost a really, really good group of guys that had played a lot of football. A lot of those guys that were seniors that went on to play at the next level had been starters pretty much since they were sophomores. So, having to replace all of those guys has been hard this year. But in the same sense, we knew we had a good group to do it. And they, oddly enough, even though we're the defending state champion, the kids have been the last probably 6 weeks playing with a chip on their shoulder, feeling like they're the underdog a little bit. It's kind of it's exciting. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, well, you guys had a really tough draw, even as the number 1 seed with these teams you were matched up with in the playoffs. I mean, Whitewater, that was a really talented 4 seed. They're new to the classification. I thought Spalding had a great year. And then I want to ask you about the Stockbridge game because I thought they were a very dangerous team coming into Class 4A this year. What did you see from them, just the way you guys kind of started and then had to close that one out in the second half?
You're right on point with that too. Stockbridge, very, very talented, well-coached team. Gave us a lot of trouble. Defensively, we were good up front, and then in the back end, they just had a lot of guys that could run. And where you see that is on special teams. And I watch the coverage units, and that's where you can tell where you're at as a program is how many guys can really run. Stockbridge had a ton of those guys. And they were a very good team, and we came 14 to 14 and a half with them, and we knew we were in a battle. And then, we were fortunate enough to be able to just kind of develop the run game and just be able to kind of close that one out and get a few field goals there to go ahead, and fortunate to win that one.
Yeah, it looks like Bryce Baker had a pretty good game against Stockbridge too. I think 11 carries, 64 yards, and then also had 3 tackles for loss defensively, and then Cody Brinson had the big pick six in that game. Just talk about the big plays they were able to spark.
Yeah, well, Bryce has been a player for us now. He's a junior, and most people think he's been around forever because he's, in essence, been a starter since his freshman year. And because of the success we've had, he and those other juniors that have played so much they've actually played an extra year and a half by this point because of all the games they get in the postseason. So, but Bryce primarily had been a defensive player for us all year. And we cross over, those guys, and he gets reps offensively, but he's had to step up, and play offense for us as well. So, very tough kid, very smart young man, great leader. I'm pushing him next year, not that I get a vote, but to be the cadet colonel for our school next year, and just a very sharp young man. And Cody's been as consistent as a human being could be the past 3 years, and just playing and playing and playing. He's had a good year at cornerback for us.
Certainly, and then Asher Sigmund, he had the 2 field goals in that game. Defensively, though, there's some guys that I was looking at that are providing you a lot of size. I think it's Elijah Alexander, Cole Simeon. I forgot how to pronounce that one, and then Scroggins.
Yeah, well, you got the guys up front. Jeremiah Thomas, it all starts with him at nose, and he's a 5'11", 300-plus pound guy, strong as an ox, and just really has had a great year. The numbers may not show as much because he's a nose guard, but he's drawing double and triple teams, which that's why Wilkes and Jonathan Hardy, Wilkes Albert and Jonathan Hardy have those big numbers because they're being able to run the alley unblocked. And then Cole Simeon is a tremendous player. This is his 3rd year as a starter for us, and he's a Division I guy that's really been a big-time factor for us. Elijah Alexander has had a great year this year, and a big kid with offers. And then you mentioned third, Scroggins. He actually wasn't starting at the beginning of the year, and we lost a senior, Lamont Mitchell, first play of the first game through an ACL tear. Literally the first opening kickoff of the season. And he, third stepped up and has had a tremendous year. And third and he's that guy that Sam, what we call a Sam backer in our scheme. And, he'll be an outside backer, but will also play on the tight end when they have a tight end and that sort of thing.